Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Right Stuff Anime Podcast. My name is Thomas Breckenridge. I'm the merchandising manager.
I'm Quinn. I'm a merchandising coordinator.
I'm Chris, also a merchandising coordinator.
I'm Will. I'm a social media coordinator.
And once again, I lied and said that we would be back after 2 weeks. And again, here we are, 3 weeks. But Will was enjoying a very nice vacation, and we didn't want to do the podcast without him.
Yeah.
So how was your vacation, Will?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I got to hike up in the mountains of Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Fun.
That does sound nice.
Yeah.
How was the weather? Was it
it was
nice and warm?
Yeah, no, it was still good, and you got to see a lot of elk. They're in their I don't know what you call it. They call it the
season?
rut, but mating season. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh boy,
That's okay.
banging antlers.
We watch a lot of anime and manga. We know all about mating season.
Okay.
Yeah, so elk have their own harem, so it's like you can make an anime out of elk.
Maybe
rut.
that's what Beastars is going to be about.
Oh no.
Cool. All right, guys. So we'll just get started right off the bat here, and we'll just get into what we've been up to, watching and reading. Quinn, what have you been up to?
I binge watched Tanya the Evil. And that show is ludicrously funny, even though it's not meant to be funny.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part is that the world just conspires against her, and she just hates life, but is bound and determined to thwart being X. And this is an isekai show, but one thing I really appreciated is that the salaryman that gets reincarnated as this little girl, he totally is like into this world and completely doesn't reference his past life. Occasionally he'll make a comment like, oh, this is harder than being a salaryman, and everyone around him will be like, what? But everything that he thinks is thought with Tanya's voice. So the essence of the salaryman doesn't really exist anymore. So I appreciated that, but the whole thing is that when he was a salaryman, he gets killed off by a co-worker that he ended up having to fire, and then Being X just shows up and is like, oh, this is your comeuppance, I'm God, I'm here to let you be resurrected. And he's like, God doesn't exist, we don't need God. And that pisses off Being X, and Being X is like, well, I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you to a different world where you're going to need to pray. And it just escalates from there. It's like an alternative universe, World War I, and they have some magic powers, and he's been reincarnated as this girl that's an orphan and is down on her luck and just needs to survive. And Tanya is like, no, I'm going to find the best, safest route for my life. So she enrolls in the military with the, her goal is to be on the back lines in an office job. And everything she does makes her more prominent for the front lines, and then she ends up being on the front lines, and she's just like cursing the day, and then Being X intervenes a couple times and just thwarts her, and she's all like, I hate you. And everything she does is supposed to help her out, but it helps other people out too, so she looks like she's a nice person. It's ludicrously dramatic and overly hostile towards Being X, and it makes me laugh. So apparently I have a twisted sense of humor, but that's great. I really enjoyed it. I have yet to see the movie, but I had all the episodes watched.
So with the Saga Tanya Evil, I've only seen a couple episodes, but if I remember correctly, the guy that is possessing her, he's a salaryman, but he is he's just a terrible human being.
Well, it's not so much he's not like terrible on purpose, like it's not his personality type. He's literally, I'm a salaryman and I'm following the rules of the world in order to get ahead, and if you don't follow the rules, well, that's your own fault. I'm following the rules, which is what his reasoning was to fire his coworker, because the guy was like, you've been warned, you've been slacking, you're supposed to work hard, and I'm working hard, so you can't yell at me. He's just like doing his job. So it's not like he's a terrible human being because he wants to be, or that's his goal. It's just, this is how he sees the world, and then he applies that logic to the World War II alternative world that he gets reincarnated as. And he's not even like possessing Tanya. He is Tanya. Like, he's totally reborn as a separate new person. It's like reincarnation, but he doesn't really have, I don't know. The odd thing is that he doesn't really retain his memories as you would think in other shows where they use that to their advantage. Like, he just uses his wits and doesn't really reference our world that much, which I appreciated.
So, do you think the show markets more I don't know. I know a lot of people really, really like this show because we had it in our holiday sale, and it was like the best seller of any holiday sale ever. I couldn't believe how many copies of it we sold.
Yeah.
But do you think it kind of fetishizes war a little bit? Like the show kind of has like a war boner?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
To me, they made it very realistic. There are horrors there, and I think that is some of the reason why Tanya gets a little twisted, because you have to see these humans that you're killing as just things, as objects. Because if you humanize the people that you're up against, you're going to feel sorry for them. And it might actually be twisting her a little bit more. But
Hey, you've never read any of the light novels or anything, have you?
I have them, but I have yet to read them.
Oh, okay.
I started reading, like maybe I got 10 pages in, and it read really well. But then I needed something to binge, and I'm like, hey, Tanya's on Crunchyroll. So, but the fetish of war, like if you enjoy like hard-hitting war films, it's more along those lines. Like I wouldn't say it's glorifying anything, because they are down in the trenches, and it's got some gore to it.
Yeah.
There's one guy in her company that he just loses it, and she demotes him, but it's more for his own sanity than anything. So there's some realism to this, and the neat thing with the magic is that it's like channeled through their weapons. So the rifles they use are actually like overemphasizing the ammunition, so it like makes it bigger and more powerful with their chanting. And then each different country has a different version that allows them to fly.
Yeah,
it's like mechanical.
Yeah, I saw the whole mechanic behind the
Yeah.
flying, because that was one of the first questions I had with that show.
Yeah, I mean, it was really neat, and to me, the company that she's in, their gear is most, it's the swiftest. It has the most mechanisms to let them be agile in the air, because there's another place that has like horse versions of the magic flying stuff. So they have to ride around on these horses. They're kind of stuck on that. Whereas theirs is literally just down one of their legs on a foot.
Yeah.
And it allows them to really be like acrobats. And there's another one that shows up later where their flying machines are kind of motorcycle based. So it's kind of neat how they have each individual country represented. But like I found it very interesting too.
Yeah.
Like if you want to dig into the lore of the world, that seems very deep.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. But I watched the first 3 episodes when it was streaming, and I guess I just got a very negative feel for it.
I think that you have to just have a little bit of a twisted sense of humor appreciation for it, because to me it makes me laugh, even though I know that is not the intention at all for this show. But I found myself laughing because she's getting thwarted by being X and powers that she can't control, but she wants to.
Yeah, I remember I got very, very sick. So when I get sick and I have to stay at home and watch something, I always watch something that I know that I'm never, how do I put it in a way? I know I'm not going to really enjoy, because you don't want to relate something, we don't want to get like into something you really like and like be very sick, because if you ever think of that show again, you remember the time you were kind of miserable. At least that's how my mind works.
No.
So I watched Overlord, like all 3 seasons of it, and crappy CG and all, but it just, that story kind of reminds me of that, where guy gets stuck in isekai world, and like he has to treat these people, they're all like non-playable characters, but he's stuck in the world, so they're like real kind of, but he has to treat them as not real, otherwise like he would think of himself as a terrible person.
See, on that show, and now I've only watched Isekai Quartet, so I'm only basing what I've seen on their sense of humor on that, but it's like, it feels to me like he keeps getting, in Overlord, keeps getting raised up to the status of this big overlord that can do no wrong, and all the NPC people are worshiping him, whereas in Tanya, it's like her company just, like she takes them out to train them, and she has some people that actually pass it, and the whole point of this training was so she wouldn't have a company. She wanted to make all of them fail so she could still sit in the back line, and they pass it, and she's like, dang it, I have a brigade now. I'm not supposed to go on the front lines. So interesting. It was fun.
Yeah. So Saga of the Time of the Evil and both Overlord are available on our site. I think Overlord's got 3 seasons, and Saga of the Time of the Evil I think has an essential or classic
It has
edition.
an essential one right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yep, we have that.
Yeah.
And then the movie is streaming.
Yep, streaming and then no release for that. So
Yep.
Yep. All right, Chris, what have you been up to?
Oh man, I feel bad because like Quinn had so much to bring to the table on that one. My bandwidth has been completely jammed full with. There's been a lot of good video games that have come out lately. Like, it's a big time to be a pro wrestling fan right now, and so my bandwidth is just super narrow as far as fitting in shows. One that I'm trying to finally get around to, though, is like one of my random blind spots in the Gundam universe. I've been trying to check out Gundam 00, and it's interesting because like it casts itself as very much a real world Gundam show, so to speak. It takes place still in the Anno Domini calendar, so it's literally just like 200 years in the future. And it's very much like an American like country major organization. There's like the Russia and China organization and Europe all trying to take control of the world through solar energy production. And there's this group that is sick of the 3 factions warring against each other called Celestial Being. And of course, like in every Gundam show, the way to stop war is to fight war. So they show up with their own giant robots and start just trying to slay everybody else. And it's just interesting to see like sort of a mix of modern and classic takes because it borrows a lot from like Gundam Seed and Gundam Wing, I think, and maybe that's part of why I haven't really done such a deep dive in on it yet, because it seems like it's been done, but not completely. And the mobile suits seem really sweet. They seem to have a little bit of a almost metaphysical vibe to them, sort of like bringing back the new type philosophy from the original series. And so I'm looking to get into that when I'm getting some free time, but man, it's been so hard finding free time. I've been too busy harassing people as a goose, so.
Well, the good thing is snow is coming, and you'll be stuck in your house, and you'll have plenty of time to watch stuff then.
That's a horrible thing to say.
I know. Yeah, I'm already preparing. Cool. So what have you been up to?
Well, between the vacation last week and just being busy in general, I haven't been able to keep up with a lot of anime. But I have been able to, keep watching Space Dandy. And for my depressing shows, so the idea was that I watched 2 episodes of what I thought was going to be a depressing show, and then watch Space Dandy as a nice palate cleanser for that. So I picked Ergo Proxy as that show. And it's not really depressing, but it is like kind of dark. It's set in a dystopian alternate future where basically, it's your typical future. All of the environment has basically gone kaput. All these people live in these authoritarian-like cities. And it focuses on one of the quote-unquote policemen who works in one of those cities called Rael. She's actually the daughter of the leader of the city, if I understand the hierarchy of the city. So she gets some special access to whatever is going on. And what's currently going on is that there's these androids who get infected by this virus. And this virus causes them to be self-conscious, as well as just being able to be determining their own actions. So I guess that means they end up going crazy for some reason. And but then that's just actually more of a side note. The main thing that happens is when she runs into this guy named Vincent Law. I know his full name because they keep repeating it every 5 seconds of the show.
Vincent Law.
You must know his name. It's important.
Vincent Law, yeah. And so he just seems like this regular guy who's just some immigrant from a far-off colony. But there's a secret side to him. Somehow he keeps being tracked down by this beast called a proxy, which is this almost godlike creature that is able to do pretty much anything, but he's somehow able to survive every time he gets confronted by it. And the whole series springs off from there. Why is Vincent Law able to survive his encounters with proxies? What's really going on in the city? What's really going on in the world? And it really takes a more philosophical look at things. So it's very like things about like what is human, what is God, higher up questions like that. So it's a very ambitious show. I don't think it is as smart as I think it is. But I really...
Thomas is shaking his head. Nah.
Yeah.
I watched the show almost 10 years ago, but keep going.
But I really enjoy how it's trying. You know, there's a lot of anime is great, but I really enjoy when series are able to at least attempt higher thinking, higher ideas like that, like what like Serial Experiments Lane does, and to a certain extent, things like Tatami Galaxy and Ping Pong do as well. So I like what it's trying to do. Even if it doesn't succeed at it most of the time.
No, I remember watching it a long time ago because I thought the artwork on the front of the case was good. This is back when Genyon was releasing it, so this is a very long time ago.
Yeah.
But I always remember there's an episode towards the end of the series where it like pulls you out of the main story and it's like a game show. And it breaks like the third wall. And it's just really weird, and then after that, it goes back to the story again. And to me, that like summed up the show, like, hey guys, please don't take this as serious as you think you should take this seriously. But I always remember that the art reminded me a lot of, and I might butcher his last name, but Nihai, the guy who does Blame in Knights of Sidonia.
Oh, yeah.
That style of art, I kind of felt that, and that was before like any of his stuff had been adapted. There was like a really short like OVA of Blame that was just like clips of kind of that manga, but like Knights of Sidonia and that stuff hadn't even come out yet, and so that's kind of why I went to it. But I agree with you, it was like cool concepts, cool ideas, and just not executed very well at all.
Yeah.
Which I think that was, I don't know, was that Gonzo?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Well, wait. It was Man Globe, the guys who
Man Globe.
did Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, and then they did Gangsta, and now they're not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants Gangsta to return, it'll have to be through a different studio. But cool. Anything else, Will?
I have been reading manga. I'm doing a review for Cats of the Louvre. That's actually one that I've really enjoyed. But I will say it's probably not going to be for everybody. It was written and drawn by Taiyo Matsumoto. If you don't know him, he's the guy who did, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, Tekken Concrete.
Tekken Concrete, yeah.
Tekken Concrete, and he also wrote the original manga for Ping Pong.
Mm-hmm.
So his art style is not for everybody. I personally really like the mix of hyper-realistic, but at the same time surreal art style he goes for. And that really works very well for something like exploring like the mecca of art museums. So
yeah.
Now my question on this one, because I couldn't tell, I flipped through it. Is it told from the cat's perspective or from people's perspective?
There's two perspectives. One is from the humans who work at the museum, and the other is the cats that
Okay,
live
so
at the
both.
museum.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I read some sample pages and I'm like, what happened to the cats? Why are there people? And then when we flipped through it, there was that hyper-realistic cat humanoid-looking art, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. Sometimes, so the cats don't really show up until like the second chapter of the story, and then the artist likes to switch perspectives from. Sometimes he'll depict them as like real life cats, and the others time he'll do like a more like abstract, cartoony humanistic view of the cats.
Okay.
Is it more upsetting than the live action Cats trailer?
No.
Okay.
No.
Nothing can be that upsetting.
It's definitely more artistic.
I'm going opening night. I can't wait for the giant mess that movie. I live for that stuff.
Walk out 10 minutes in.
Oh man.
He wants to have an opinion, though.
No, I'll stay till the end. Cool. Well, for me, it is now October, and my October ritual is to watch a lot of horror movies. I try to watch at least one for every day.
Jeez.
Nice.
Yes, I love horror fans. I even subscribed to Shudder. I recently watched One Cut of the Dead, which is this awesome, I believe it's Japanese film where they're basically going to shoot a zombie movie all in one shot. And I don't really want to ruin it for you because it's very it's very low budget style. But the movie it opens up with the actual short, and I don't want to ruin the end part. But if you like comedy and like looking behind a camera and how something's put together. One Cut of the Dead is really good, but yeah, I watch a lot of horror stuff. But I did watch the new Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress movie that is on Netflix. They broke it down into 3 episodes on Netflix. It was a movie that played in Japan, I think, like May. It just kind of continues the story on. They land in a village, and they're trying to regain certain parts of that village that have been taken over by the Cabaneri. The Cabaneri are basically, best way to put it, kind of like a bloodthirsty vampire / zombie, but like to kill them, they have a core where their heart is, but you need special weapons to break that core to destroy it to actually kill them. So if you sit there and shoot them and you don't hit the core, or you don't have a weapon power enough to hit the core, they just keep going. There's certain characters that have been bitten or attacked by the Cabaneri that basically are able to stay human and have like superhuman strength, but they have to be careful, otherwise they might turn into like a full Cabaneri. So it follows Ikuma and Mume, who are like the 2 main characters from that, going to this village. Now you can kind of see that Mume has a thing for Ikuma, and it's kind of cute. And the one thing the show also has going for it is it's done by the studio that does Attack on Titan. The director of Attack on Titan, it was kind of his thing that he always wanted to do. And he was kind of able to do that because of how successful Attack on Titan was. But I mean, the production value on it is great. It's fun nonsense. I'm not gonna say it's gonna change your life, but like I just find it enjoyable. To me, it's like a summer blockbuster. Like put it on. It's about hour and a half, 2 hours. A lot of action, a lot of cool stuff that happens. A lot of awesome set pieces. Like the old like style Japanese villages are really cool, and how they move around on a locomotive. So there's like, to me, there's elements of Snowpiercer on there. If anybody's ever seen that movie, which I highly recommend. But yeah, the movie's on there. Hopefully they keep continuing to do the series just as like little mini movies, because I mean right now they're just kind of traveling along and trying to eradicate what was left of the Cabaneri and find a cure for the 2 main characters who are kind of in between. So that's Cabaneri. The original series we do have on our website, so check that out. I also finally started watching Carol and Tuesday on Netflix, and that's all sorts of amazing, and I love it, and I love Shinichiro Watanabe, and I'll watch anything he does. The one thing I really did like about the show, like I love the relationship between Carol and Tuesday, and I love the scenes where they just sing, like the way that it almost seems like the whole world shuts off when they're like, even like the first episode where like, she's just kind of playing a tune and she's humming, and then the humming turns into words, and then the words turn into the chorus, and it's just really beautiful how it's shot and it's done. But their manager, like Gus, is like, I absolutely love that guy. I think he's such an awesome character. Yeah. And like he's just so filled with positivity and stuff like that. Like I guess I'm like used to always seeing these like, oh, it's a slubby manager who's going to take advantage of these sweet girls.
And that's kind of what you think when you first see him, too, because he's just this slob that they find at a bar, and when they find him, he's drunk and just his life is a mess. But then he gets it together, and he's like, I've got connections, let's go.
Yeah, but he's got like a heart of gold, and like he's just a good person. Like there's kind of scenes later on where like he interacts with certain characters, and like he's not judgmental at all. Like he sees the person as who the person is, and I don't know. It's weird that the show's Carol and Tuesday, but I'm always like, I really like Gus. Like this character's just so cool. But then I think about like Shinichiro Watanabe, like he's really good at writing supporting characters too, and I feel that really kind of comes through. So, but yeah, there's other things I've watched, but that's kind of going to go into what we're going to talk about next. Yeah. So the summer season is pretty much officially over. I think there's one episode of Vinland Saga left before it officially starts its second arc, but it's pretty close to being done. So with the summer season being over, what did you guys like? What didn't you like? Quinn, I know that you finally got to see the ending of Given, and they had a really cool announcement at the end. So.
Well, I am less thrilled about the announcement than most people, just because I'm like, it's a rehash told from another point of view. It's a movie. Yay, more content. That means it was successful. I'm happy about that part. Haruki is also best boy. So, yeah, I'm excited about that to a point, but the show overall, it had such a high on episode 9 that episodes 10 and 11, they just couldn't top it. So even though I know it's still good content and I still love it, I still felt disappointed, which is sad.
Yeah.
But it's like, I really hope there's a second season, and I don't think the Noatomi block has done a second season.
Oh, was it a Noitami show?
Yeah.
Well, that explains why it was good.
Yeah. It was really
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
I for some reason, I thought Vinland Saga was Noitamina, and I am wrong.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that, and I really want to see more of it. Yeah, Girls in a Dungeon wrapped up. I regret my decision not to binge watch it because every stinking episode ended, and I was like, no, you just got content! What? No! But then the mobile game had extra content that I didn't want to miss out on. It's like, yeah! Stupid tie-ins. But yeah, that was worth it because I have Haruhime now.
Yeah.
And Bonds. Yeah, so those were the two shows that I probably followed the best. I know I'm missing something. I was watching something else. Given was like the main staple of my summer season, though.
Cool. Chris, how was your summer season?
Not bad. I pretty much stuck with the ones that I was pretty much watching from the start, and it really bums me out that we're on a break now from a Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Like,
that would be the other thing I was watching.
It was it was a great run, and I was a little bummed out that the last 3 or 4 episodes were just let's just hang out at camp and heal up.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, especially realizing that the Zenitsu's limbs had been shrunken after getting bitten by the spider. But
shirts all the time. He has no
just like, floppy arms. But like the people training under, I think it's Shinobu, the butterfly, the poison master. They were really fun to watch and get used to the 3 adorable little maid girls that were helping him. Like everybody's like, oh god, these girls keep on torturing us and put us through this massage stuff. And Zenitsu's like, that sounds awesome. I love that reaction. But then like in the final episode, they are really building up some awesome stuff coming down the road. Like they touch a little more on the demon side of things, and oh man, just some of the awesome stuff they did in that scene was just really cool. And now they're building to they're doing the next arc as a movie, and so really excited to see what turns out of that. And then Dr. Stone was still a lot of fun. They've really established like a sort of plot now, but it is starting to get into sort of the shonen trope of, okay, we've got this storyline, let's stretch it out 8-10 episodes. So it's just building up to like the village that they're at, trying to help out, I think it's Ruri, the daughter of the chieftain of the village who's sick, and they're trying to use science to cure her, but to do so, they have to win this fighting tournament. And so, like, it's funny because it seems unfair. It's like a tournament of 8 different people fighting, and not Taiju, Senku and his team, they take up like 5/8 of the slots. Like it seems rigged from the start that we'll probably have a good chance of winning this, and like there's one big tough guy in the camp that would be the big threat, and their best guy faces off against him in the first round. But that's going to be continuing, I believe. So we'll still get some more of that. So. Cool. Looking forward to see what unfolds from there.
Will?
Yeah, well, for me, I've been really bad this season. I've been barely able to keep up with the shows at all. But I can't tell you what I'm planning on binging when I'm able to.
There you go.
I mean, I should have been watching Vinland Saga on a week-to-week basis, but life just caught up to me. But oh man, those first 3 episodes are really good.
Oh man, that stays good. Trust me.
Oh yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. And then I definitely need to check out Demon Slayer. I was able to get halfway through, and then I had to freaking stop. I didn't want to stop, but life had other plans for me that time.
Yeah.
There's that. I want to check out Dr. Stone. I liked the first episode. I want to see if it's able to continue off of that. Maybe Fire Force. I've only heard.
I'll talk about Fire Force.
I just heard it gets a gradual slope down. And some of the content I've heard about in previous episodes, like, but the first episode was pretty impressive. So I mean, hopefully it'll get soon later. We get a better soon later. So Carol and Tuesday, obviously, I need to watch that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are what I'm planning to watch.
Cool. Well, yeah, the summer season, I thought overall it was pretty strong.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna gush anymore over Vinland Saga. if you're not watching it, it's your own fault. It's amazing.
Or you're just poor and can't afford Prime.
Yes, or just keep creating fake email addresses, trying to get free Prime to watch.
Get
it
all the trials.
It's amazing. Demon Slayer ended. I know like the last couple episodes kind of dragged a little bit, but it was kind of like that in the manga too. I mean, that after that episode 19 and 20, those huge episodes, like it's kind of like coming down off of a roller coaster. Like you want to keep that high, but at the same time, like we need to reestablish some stuff. They have to introduce some new characters because a lot of stuff is going to be happening now. They ended with I know a lot of people were worried that Aniplex was not going to do anything more, but at least for now they announced they're going to do an anime adaptation of the Infinite Train arc, which is a really cool arc, and I think it's going to fit perfectly into a movie. And with that style and even bigger budget, like it's not looked good before. Look out!
I mean, good grief! That camera through the train just for the little announcement. I'm like, production. This is good.
I was just like, we're gonna get that Fate Stay money for Demon Slayer, so that's gonna be pretty exciting. Carol and Tuesday just finished up in Japan. We're gonna be getting the second part in December on Netflix, so that's exciting. And then Fire Force. I can't think of a show that lost steam so much like that show did in a long time. I mean, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit on our review of Promare. But after watching Promare, and I know Promare and Fire Force are two completely different things, but I had no interest in Fire Force anymore after watching Promare. I was like, I wish there was a TV show Promare, right? But no, it seems like it's kind of dragging on, and I don't know, maybe it'll get better. I'll wait and see, but I think I dropped it about episode 6 or 7, and I just didn't have any interest after that. So
see, I got to about episode 4, but other shows took priority in my schedule, so I'm like, I'll just go back and binge it later.
Yeah,
this is not helping.
And I don't read the manga, so I don't know how the manga is, but the fact that they're up to like volume 17, it's got to be good.
I'll have to read the manga. I've read through the first and second volumes.
Yeah. So then we got fall season coming up, and I know a couple of shows have already dropped for that. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, but I watched about half of Ascension of a Bookworm.
Oh yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cute. It's kind of slow right now, but I think it looks kind of interesting. That's the only one I've kind of seen. We're gonna have a return of Fire Force, Sword Art Online. Any Sword Art Online people here?
No, just our coworker.
Yeah, just our coworker. I think I got enough Sword Art Online with the very first season. The big one is My Hero Academia is coming back, and it's doing a very awesome arc that I really, really like. They're going to introduce some new characters, like one of the former partners of All Might is in this one. I like his character a lot. The villain, they introduced some new villains, introduced some new heroes, and it just kind of feels really fresh. And then it reminds you that this can be a very good series even if All Might is not there, or some of the other big supporting characters like Bakugo and stuff like that.
Oh.
So,
Bakugo?
Yeah, he's not in it. But
I like the anger.
Yeah.
I'm okay with All Might being out of it. I'm okay with that. He annoyed me.
But it is, I think it's a really cool arc, and it'll be awesome to see it animated. Something that he said is coming back. Vinland Saga. Yeah, it's getting another season for sure. And then Amazon is going to be streaming Blade of the Immortal. I'm not sure. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a direct adaptation of like everything, but it's actually just adapting a certain part of the story. So the animation looks amazing. I'm super excited. Give me samurai stuff any day of the week.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys are excited about fall season?
I am looking forward to Chihaya Furu.
Season
3. Because the second season, like, it ended in a nice place that you know there's still more material, but you're okay with it stopping there. So I'm excited to see where it goes, because they were going off to get extra training, her and the guy, I can't think of his name. But it's also got that little spark of he's realized that he likes her. So I'm curious to see where that goes too. So I'm looking forward to Chihaya, and I know that an entire show about nothing but poetry card game memory skill mashup sounds so, what? Why is this interesting? But it's so intense. It's really, really good. If you're a fan of Haikyuu, of Run with the Wind, it's definitely on that level of entertainment and also like intense competition. So go watch Chihaya if you haven't seen it. It's got 2 seasons already out, so this is season 3.
Yep.
And then the other one I'm kind of interested in, which I give a 50-50 shot of being either good or being really stupid and I drop it, is Assassin's Pride. Because the whole plot mechanism is only, like, you know, the elite, the higher ranking nobles have this power to defeat demons, I think it is.
Okay.
But the daughter of this duke apparently has no promising powers. So the guy who's been assigned to kind of watch her and I think maybe teach her some skills has also been assigned that if she's completely worthless and has no powers, to kill her. So, like I said, it's got a 50-50 shot of possibly being good, possibly being dumb.
Yona of the Dawn?
No.
No?
No.
Oh. Well,
No,
it sounds
this-
like Yona of the Dawn.
Maybe I set it up badly. It sounds nothing like Yona of the Dawn to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just remember, like, her father, like, Yona... Spoilers for Yona of the Dawn, which is in the very beginning. Her father dies, and then, like...
Well, she doesn't have any powers, though.
She doesn't have any... I guess she to control the kingdom, so they have to get rid of her.
Well, yeah, but that's more like you're inheriting your position.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas they have actual, like, some sort of supernatural power to kill off these demons.
I see, yeah.
And that's, like, the only kind of synopsis I can find on it, so I don't know any more depth, and I haven't really looked for any more, because I like to be kind of in the dark when I look at new shows. So that one caught my attention just due to the plot. And those would be about the only 2. Everything else, I've kind of taken a step back from getting excited about shows until they're announced on where they're streaming, because I refuse to pay for some of these services.
Right. Or if you're lucky to even get them online, I'm still waiting for Teasing Master Takagi-san season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are my 2.
Cool. Chris?
Alright, so mine are pretty obscure, but I'm pretty excited about them just because they really touch upon my interests. So first up, let's go with the one I actually got to watch this morning. I just found out about the existence of this show literally 2 days ago, and I was really excited once I heard the concept, and watching the first episode, it's pretty much everything I wanted as far as like the theme subject go. The show is After School Dice Club. And the plot of this one, it's just about these 3 girls that are in high school that just randomly meet up. There's one who's sort of shy, does not want to deal with people. The other one's a new transfer to school who is super outgoing. And then the third one is sort of like the student council representative who's trying to be picky about them. Sort of like straight-laced, not always the person having fun. But the other 2 discover through pure chance that the student council rep works after school in a European game shop. And so it's like, and I used to work at a comic and game shop myself, and one of the neat things about it is looking in the shop, all the games they have in the show are real board games. So
nice.
Deep board game fans, they've got Dixit, Codenames, Ice Cool, Splendor, stuff like that. And so what they're going to be doing is just playing these board games and having fun. And I know it's going to be just super bare bone. There's going to be no plot to it. It's just these 3 like girl stereotypes just having fun with each other and playing these board games. It's going to be like Will Wheaton's Tabletop, the anime.
Yeah.
But I kind of want that because I love board games and I want to find new board games. Like the first episode, they do a game I'd never heard of called Marrakesh. And I mean, that was funny. I read a review online. It's like it only got a 6.5 on Board Game Geek, and I was like, it still looks fun, like a nice, easy, casual game to pick up. So I might have to take a peek at that one. So
Cool.
And then another one that ties into my interests. I'm a big pro wrestling fan, as I mentioned earlier. Today we're recording the day after the Wednesday Night Wars popped off between NXT and AEW. For those of you all that know what I'm talking about, everybody else in the room is just like, huh?
I'm vaguely familiar.
But there is a new isekai that I really want to watch that is apparently up for streaming now too. It's called Kimono Michi Rise Up. And the plotline, it's about a pro wrestler in our world who has done really well with his career. He's just won a big title match, Well, actually, I think he just lost it from reading the summary. And he's not sad because it's not, his career's pretty much coming to an end, but it's on his own terms. He doesn't want to keep being a wrestler. He wants to use all the earnings he's got and open up a pet shop. And that's when he gets tossed into another world. And he appears, and a princess summons him, and is like, we need you to fight these monsters that are harassing us. And being such a fan of animals, he proceeds to German suplex the princess and decide to defend the animals.
This is actually an exact description of the show.
And
I read it today.
It sounds so ridiculous, but it appeals to me in so many ways. And I love the stupid things, and it just sounds so fun. I really want to watch it.
Yeah.
It definitely is filed under stupid things.
Yeah.
Well,
But
wrestling fan or
interesting.
animal lover, I mean, there's something there for everybody.
Exactly.
The crossover, it's obvious.
Yeah.
Duh.
And it's by the guy who wrote Konosuba, too.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be plenty of really good comedy there then.
Yeah, my
Nice.
interest level just
Oh,
went
now I'm
down.
excited.
So, yeah.
It'd be funny if that ends up being the show this season. Watching My Hero Academia? No, but I'm watching the one where the wrestler suplexes the princess. He loves animals.
He's got a pet shop with a Cerberus. What's not to love?
All right, well,
All right, so I would be excited for Beastars if Netflix didn't take a license of it. They'd probably release it not until like the December or whatever.
well, it's just unfortunate for us here in
Yeah.
North America because I know other Netflix countries, they actually release the episode every week.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I hate them more now.
Yeah,
It's
the
DNA.
concept that we really
Oh.
want this binge culture is just so awful. Because, one of the things I loved about Star Trek Discovery on CBS All Access is they just put out a new episode every week. You got a week to think, oh man, that was a good show. I'm just curious to see where they're going next. I don't need to sit there for 6 hours and get half the season in. Let me just watch it when it comes out.
Oh yeah, but I read the manga for Beastars and I really liked it a lot. There just seems to be a lot of thematic layers to that show. Some that I knew while I was reading it, and some that I only found out after, and I looked up research on it. So I'm really excited to see what Studio Orange can do with that. I feel like maybe a 3D space will help out a lot with the possible cinematography and stuff that I can do.
Yeah, they are
Just to
really
jump off
pretty.
that, Studio Orange is the ones that did Land of the Lustrous,
Yeah.
which
Oh.
I have always said if you want to see anime in CG done correctly,
Yeah.
watch Land of the Lustrous. So that's why I have a lot of hope in Beastars.
Yeah. And you forget that Land of the Lustrous is like a 3D one. It
Yeah.
looks 2D.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then there's also another one I was wanting to check out, which is on Amazon Prime, called Babylon. So it bills itself as a psychological thriller where it's a pretty basic plot as far as I know because it really hasn't been much plot revealed yet. But the idea is that there's this secret agent man who starts getting into this conspiracy or whatever, and it starts to visually it gets off the rails from there. So. Since I don't know much about it, it could be really, really bad. That Amazon just kind of sweeps under the carpet, or it could be something actually pretty good. So I want to check out which it is at the very least.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think fall is going to be as strong as summer was.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to find some surprises.
Yeah, there's some hidden gems.
Yeah. I think they also were like, My Hero's coming out. We're not going to try.
Yeah, My Hero is going to dominate because I think it's two cores. So it'll be going into it'll be fall and winter. So,
Yeah.
And then they have a movie coming out too. So,
Yep,
another
they
one.
got that sequel film.
yeah. And just to remind everyone, we do have a really awesome My Hero
Yes.
Academia
Woo!
sale going on right now. Thanks to our friends over at Viz and Funimation. We are offering awesome discounts on the manga, which is 45% off, and the Blu-rays, which are kind of varied just depending on what it is. I know we have the My Hero 2 Heroes movie for $12.49 right now, which is awesome price. And we even have some of the LE editions that are still left for $26.99 as well.
As of the time of this recording.
Yes, that's not this recording, but they are flying off the shelves here. So, just go check that out if you want to catch up. We even took the time out to match the seasons up with the manga, so you can get the manga bundled with the season. So if you want to know where part of the manga was being adapted, you can get it all in one shot. So yeah, just go ahead and check that out as well. So yeah, that's kind of what's coming up in fall. Yeah. So unfortunately this week we don't have a new Massacre Dub Theater, but we do have a winner.
Yay!
From our previous Massacre Dub Theater, and that came in from one of our listeners, Chris Long, and he wrote us, love the episode this week as well as Massacre Dub Theater. Glad I'm not the only one who loves this show. The
Yay!
Answer is Soul Eater.
Soul Eater.
And he said it's where Death the Kid is arguing with his twin pistols for the first time.
Yep.
Keep up the great work on the podcast. Well, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
And so now we have 2 people we know are Soul Eater fans.
Yep.
Wayne and Chris. So, Chris, if you want to just send us another message, I forgot what the email is again.
rspodcast@rightstuff.com.
That is going to be my... I'm just never going to remember that.
We should just seriously tape that to the top of the monitor in your laptop there.
All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, Chris, so if you just want to get a hold of us again at rspodcast@rightstuff.com, we'll get out a $25 gift certificate and a t-shirt to you. And hopefully next episode we'll have a new Massacre Dub Theater.
Yep.
Takes us a little while because we have to find a dub clip and make sure it's one.
The last one also got transcripted.
Yes.
I sat down and did that.
Yes.
I like that scene so much.
It's not like we have like a website we can go to and just copy and paste some scripts.
That would have been nice.
We have to find clips and then sit down and go through them. So it takes some time. So hopefully we'll have one next time. And thanks again to Chris for writing into us. So.
Yay.
So for the main part of the podcast, all 4 of us got a chance to see the new anime film Promare. And it was really awesome to see. I was kind of following on Twitter. I think after all the showings, it broke the $1 million mark for the money it made. And I think it was the 2 main showings, the English dub and the Japanese dub, and then the English dub and the Japanese subtitled, and then they did a couple extra showings because a lot of showtimes got sold out, and then after those extra showtimes, it broke over the $1 million mark, which is just awesome. What a time to be alive!
It's the for comparison, it's the second best ever total for G-Kids, only behind Mary and the Witch's Flower.
Oh
wow!
Nice.
So, and then I know none of us here got to see it, but I know last night was one of the first premieres for the Rascal Girl Does Not Dream
Rascal
of Bunny.
Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, but it's the movie, which has a slightly different title.
I think it's like Rascal Does Not Dream of Dreaming Girl or something.
Something like that.
Thank you for trying to pronounce it and not having to make me suffer.
You're
Because I
welcome.
was going to butcher it. And it sounded like that one did very well. So it's just awesome that we're getting like an anime film in theaters like every other week. Especially here in Des Moines, Iowa. Who would have thought? But yeah, we all 4 of us got a chance to see Promare. So I'm just going to quickly go through a basic kind of synopsis of Promare, and then we'll go around and talk about our thoughts.
Spoiler alerts, too. Spoiler alerts.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll just go through the beginning, and then we can get into kind of spoiler talk. But so Promare, 30 years prior, Earth suffers a calamity known as the Great World Blaze, wherein fires from mass spontaneous human combustions kill half the world's population. Certain humans develop pyrokinetic abilities during and subsequent to the event and become known as the Burnish. In the present, Gallo lives in the city of Propimopolis.
I don't remember. It works.
Sure. As a member of a firefighting group, Burning Rescue, who responds to incidents involving the purported Burnish terrorist sect Mad Burnish. So this was done by Studio Trigger. And I'll just quickly just say it's the most Studio Trigger thing that's ever Studio Triggered. These are the guys behind Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, which is like their lightest thing they've ever done now.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the crew who did Gurren Lagann, the Gurren Lagann
The
wasn't
main
a
character
Trigger
of the
thing.
movie might as well have just been in.
Yeah, it was just straight up
I'm
comic
like,
pretty much.
What the heck?
Trigger. It
Got
was
a
very
hair and
much like
everything.
almost like Trigger's greatest hits.
Yeah.
But just to
Right in
like
my
the
wheelhouse.
umpth degree. So Quinn, what did you think of Promare?
I liked it for what it was. Like, I'm going to flat out put out there that action films are not my forte. Like, I enjoy them, but they're not my bread and butter. There were a couple scenes where, wow, this is really cool action. This is really cool camera work. All right, it's gone on enough, guys. Can we get on with the show? So there were a couple times that I thought that, but when it actually focuses on the character, especially Leo, who's the antagonist, I really enjoyed those scenes the most, just because they're more character driven, and he has such a good backstory too. And his little lackeys, they're hilarious. They were good comedy fodder for a while. And Gallo, he's there. He does his thing. He's there to be the hero, and that's pretty much his whole entire purpose. And I'm like, grow some depth, get a little depth, learn. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I thought that the similarities that people had been pushing about it and Fire Force, they're true maybe for maybe the first 10 minutes of the film, and after that it deviates so much that it's like they're nothing alike, especially the twist with what the Burnish are near the end, because they aren't even real fire. They're actual, interdimensional beings that got stuck there, and I'm like, what? That didn't see that coming.
Explains why all the fires are purple.
I see, and that's like artistic to me. I was questioning that for the whole time. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of visual eye candy. Occasionally, I'm like, am I upside down, right side up, sideways? I don't know what's going on with the camera anymore.
Yeah,
but it was fun.
That was one of those things I was going to remark on. Is I was sitting in the middle of the theater, and I felt like I should have sat at the very back of the theater.
Yeah, I was farther back than you.
There was so much stuff going on the screen that I was just like, holy crap. I'm like,
just a little bit
I can't keep up with this.
At one point, I was like, they should put this on a roller coaster ride and just like project it at you, because it would totally fit on some of those moves.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Strap a few ice cannons on the side.
Yeah.
So, Chris, what did you think?
Yeah, I just thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, like, I really enjoy Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, so this was just, like, hitting me right in the wheelhouse as far as, like, action goes. The character design was really cool. Some of the vehicles I had, like the super gigantic fire truck that the Burning Rescue rolls out in, that's, like, 8 times bigger than any of the other vehicles on the street, and they're getting to do crazy drift tricks. What looks like the hook and ladder system is just a catapult system for firefighting mecha. Oh, man, it just hits me so much. And also you could see a lot of borrowed stuff from their other concepts. Because, like, Gallo is pretty much just Kamina from Gurren Lagann. I was a little disappointed that, like, a lot of the other side characters got, zero development.
I forgot they existed by the end. I was like, oh yeah, there are more of them, aren't there?
Yeah, the rest of Burning Rescue just gets no focus. Like, there's the girl that goes along with Gallo when they try and solve the problem of what the Burnish actually are, and she's just pretty much there. Like, the only reason she exists is so you can get that butt shot of her doing the frigging Darling in the Franxx pose of piloting the hovercraft. It feels like. And then the rest of the team, like, I want to find out more about, like, the 12-year-old prodigy girl who's running all the tech than her little mouse buddy Vinny.
Yeah, I recognize the voice actor on that for the Japanese subtitle too, and I'm like, who is this?
But it very much screams to me almost like it was supposed to be a pilot for a TV show, and then they saw Fire Force come out, and they're like, okay, maybe we should just shift to a movie production instead and just throw a lot more money into this. But I also found it interesting that, like, my friends and I, or my roommate and I, realized there was sort of a big allegory going on with, like, almost like American current events, because the Burnish are being rounded up and taken away and being kept in, like, almost concentration camp-like areas. And I was just like, oh my god, the freeze force is just ice. It's just straight up right there in your eyes. And early on, there's a scene where there's a local pizza maker that they really enjoy. And it just turns out he's also a Burnish, but all he really wants to do is just use his elemental skills to make really damn good pizza. But then the freeze force shows up and deports him anyway. It just screams current events to me in a way that I definitely was not expecting from this movie about people on fire and giant robots.
Well, from the start of their production time, I'm like, coincidence. I know this has to be coincidence, but at the same time, this really speaks.
Yeah.
I mean, and like how the whole ending and how like they're like how they talk about how like I'm going to burn everything to the ground, and Leo's like I'm going to make sure I protect everybody. It's like did Studio Trigger just call for a revolution? What is this?
And like the Cray Forsyth, who's like the villain of it, is like golden hair, taller guy. I was just like, yeah, that's Trump. That's totally Trump.
Yep.
Totally
Just get all the rich people on a spaceship and get out of here before the mess blows up.
And he very much fits in the idea of like how do I put it? Of like a president that's less like a big event happens and it's like I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm not this way, and he does it by saving Gallo, even though he's the one that set his house on fire. He saves this kid and turns it into a big publicity thing. That is one of the big things that makes him who he is. But you know, deep down inside, he is still this terrible, hateful person.
One of the funnier bits is how Forsyth was like, all this time I've been trying to get you killed, but you still killed me.
I know that halfway through the movie too, I'm like, his character, I'm going, he's gonna be a Burnish. Don't do this to me. Don't be the obvious. You're the obvious.
Oh, yeah. I like tropes like that. Like it's
you know what would have been better is like if they
I like a villainous hypocrite.
If they would have integrated Cray using social media all the time. Like, did you see what I did today? Like, I don't know. Like, yep. They got it. So, well, what did you think?
Yeah, just pretty much anything made by Imashi and written by Nakashima. It's just a ton of fun. I just had a ton of fun just watching it. Just like the action was really great. I'm fine with sensory overload as long as it looks cool. And boy, was it beautiful to look at. Like the colors, the uses of color in this movie was just absolutely spectacular. So I wish I could see more like crazy stuff like that.
I love like the South touches where they did the Gurren Lagann style name pop up behind every character all the time.
Yeah, I love the I love the character intros like that.
Yeah.
They would often like sometimes poke fun of it during the time. Obviously, like I think the use of CGI, like they were very, very plain with the CGI. Like you could tell what was CGI, but I felt like the color scheme, the flat color scheme, helped out a bit with that. And just like the 3D shots they were able to play around with this with the camera, it was just really great to look at. And honestly, like I went to the dub version. Yeah, I wanted to go to the sub, but I couldn't because I had something that night. But I was really impressed by most of the dubbers in the dub. The guy who plays All Might also does Forsyth. Also does Forsyth, so that was a cool change of character.
Nice.
There was like. So you guys were saying about how like the supporting cast was underdeveloped. I agree, but I just felt like that they were just bringing with a lot of personality.
Yeah, they
did. And maybe it's because I saw the dub supporting cast
they were
really
good,
knocked it out of the park. Especially the Lucia, she was the prodigy person. She was voiced by I believe it's pronounced Carrie Walgren. And she just knocks it out of the park. Like the character herself is really elastic, and she's able to bring that out in her voice. And it was like a standout performance for me.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I was wanting there to be more of the characters. Maybe I just really enjoyed the voice acting. I was like, oh man, let's get more of these guys.
There you go, Studio Trigger spinoff. Do a TV show about just the Fire Force people.
Burning Rescue.
Fire Force.
That's it.
That's whatever. They do fires. It's fine.
Yeah. No, I really like Promare. It's very Studio Trigger. It follows a lot of their styles. It's just very much just a show of, hey, look what we can do. Like I always kind of
their interview at the end was totally full of look what we can do.
Yeah, I know Quinn, you stayed for it. I left because I've seen some interviews with Trigger, and a lot of times it's just them patting themselves on the back.
So much.
And it's like, I mean, you guys are very remarkably talented, but. Yeah, I don't.
You talk about the film, not yourself.
Yeah, so I knew that's kind of what it was going to be, but no, and I mean, I like the whole idea at the end that, I mean, it also deals with a lot of like the ideas of like our environment right now too, and kind of how we keep using these resources and how like almost we need to take the establishment that is basically using all these resources and slowly destroying this world and burn it all down and then restart from new. And that new is, Gallo and Leo's character coming together at the end. Two different groups coming together to like quell and like fix the world. And I don't know, for something that was just supposed to be mindless, like action and a spectacle, there were some really good ideas behind it.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
So I didn't like the whole idea at the end, like Cray kind of like is almost forgiven, sort of like he has that like I feel like if they were gonna completely Trumpize him, I feel like he should have stayed the way he was till the very end, like because at the end they almost feels like he's like, oh, I just didn't see it that way kind of style. And I was just like, I don't really want redemption for this guy.
Yeah, let's just go throw him in jail.
Yeah,
It's
like
fine.
he was a terrible person and he was terrible for the things he did and he was trying to use human
that
beings.
one moment isn't going to change a person at the end
Yeah,
of the film.
and I guess I didn't like that. I guess I felt like if they wouldn't have done that, I would have felt like they went almost all in on that whole idea. But no, I thought it was really, really awesome. It'll be interesting to see what they do again. I would like to see a series of this, like maybe
would
a
be
13-episode
interesting.
series of what happened afterwards. Like I know that the Burnish don't have that power anymore. Like all that went back to that other dimension. So that's kind of the end of it. But hell, I'll watch 13 episodes of them rebuilding a world.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that cool.
You could even do like an insert, like a prequel.
Yeah.
If you wanted to keep the Burnish around, because all the characters would be established already in that world. You just
Yeah.
have them on opposite sides.
Yeah, just 30 episodes of the nonstop dystopia that was like the very beginning of like the Great World Blaze, where everything
Yeah.
was like in hell. Like, I'll watch that. But yeah, Promare. I think everybody here gives it a thumbs up.
Oh,
No Blu-ray release yet, but G-Kids will
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
announcing
Yeah.
something
They'll do it.
soon.
They'll do
Give
it.
it a couple months.
I'm hoping they do some really nice collector's edition of it too,
Yeah, that would be
with
nice.
interviews and stuff like that. Hopefully the interviews aren't just like look what we
Look
can
how
do.
cute.
So,
Yeah, and then the one guy in the interview at the end was also talking about how much he cried. And then the rest of them were telling him that you cry a lot. And he's like, yes, I do cry a lot. It makes me so emotional. And I was just
So
like,
bad about
all right, so
that.
the interview is about how awesome you guys are and how much he cries.
that's great.
Great.
I love it.
I don't feel bad about making my wife get up to leave. I was like, I think we're done here.
You guys didn't miss anything.
Yeah. Cool. So that's Promare. So as of right now, what's going on at Right Stuff? We are coming down to the last. I think by the time this podcast comes out, will either be the last day or close to the last day for the Fooly Cooley vinyl and the Perfect Blue art book pre-orders. Those have been doing awesome. It's the Perfect Blue art book has kind of a hefty price tag at $90, but like it is beautiful. Like there's a lot of art. If you're a Satoshi Kon fan, it is something to have in your collection. I have the old art book that Dark Horse did years and years ago that had just a bunch of different art from Satoshi Kon, and it's just awesome to be getting more stuff from him because unfortunately he did pass away. So like for him, a very, very young age, and he was just really, I think, getting to the pinnacle of like greatness. And then the Fooly Cooley, like if you like the pillows, if you like old like old school like 90s anime music, like Fooly Cooley vinyl is awesome. And we just recently announced a Silent Voice vinyl, which is currently up on our website. I mean that music was beautiful. I mean
that's beautiful soundtrack.
The music just fits the overall feel and the artwork of that movie so well. Oh, it's so awesome. And I mean, while you're there, you can always pick up the Silent Voice limited edition that we're going to be releasing in conjoined with
We got
11
some
Arts.
new artweek up for that too to check out.
So that two good things there. And we still have our My Hero Academia sale going, so check that out. I think week 2 of 3. And then we also have our Sentai weekly specials and some deeper discounts on the LEs are in there. So make sure you check that out too. And then we have a convention coming up here in 2 weeks, Anime Fusion in Plymouth, Minnesota, which is just right outside of Minneapolis. We are going to be honored as guest of honor.
Whoa.
So, yeah, we'll have a booth there. We are doing 5 panels. We are doing a trivia panel. We're doing an industry panel. We are doing history of Nozomi Entertainment. We're doing another panel on inside look of the industry from an actual insider's perspective. And what is the fifth one?
There's so many panels. We can't keep track of them all.
Yeah. Trivia. Oh, and then we're doing a panel. I'll be doing this one. Actually, my wife will be helping me with this one. Shiny New Anime, where we just talk about some of the highlights of streaming anime that have come out in the last 12 months. So that will be the fifth one. So we'll be very busy, booth and panels for those 3 days. So come out and check out that. And then after that, we have NebraskaCon in Omaha. And that'll be our third year doing that one. And we always love to go down to that one. That one's a lot of fun as well. So I think we're going to be on a break again for almost 3 weeks because the next time we're supposed to shoot, we are packing up to leave to Anime Fusion. So, and not to mention that we are getting deep into the holiday season.
Yeah, it's already hit, guys. It's already hit.
But if you want those good deals,
yeah,
you'll be okay waiting an extra week for another podcast.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're going to review or what we're going to do yet. I know I've tossed around the idea of talking about, we're almost done with a decade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think maybe looking back at the last 10 years of, honestly, has been like the biggest explosion in the industry ever, thanks to streaming.
It's daunting.
Yeah.
I'm like, how many shows have I watched in 10 years?
The craziest thing to do is to look at how many shows came out every year starting in 2010 and then going to 2019 because they've almost tripled. and then also just being like, oh my god, Durarara and Angel Beats are 10 years old now.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I remember just watching those. So maybe we might do something like that. I know we've tossed around the idea of guilty pleasures shows and manga that we really like that maybe haven't got enough exposure, or maybe stuff that people hate that we just absolutely like.
That or things that we don't want to admit that we like.
Yeah. But anyway, for your entertainment.
Yes.
We're nice like that.
For sure. But we'll leave you with that, and we'll see you guys again in 3 weeks.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
See you next time.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Right Stuf Anime. We'd love to hear from you. Send us your questions or comments to rspodcast@rightstuff.com, and we might just answer them in a future episode. That's rspodcast@rightstuff.com.